Welcome to Combat Sports Talk, a podcast dedicated to UFC and Bellator discussion, the MMA community, and combat sports in general. I'm your host, Ryan Smith, and joining me this week is the man who was glowing because he got some sun and not because he's pregnant, KC Onyebuchi.
You know what? Our intros are just getting out of hand. What? This is about to be a Mr. Mom situation? Wait, no. What's the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant?
Twins. I think it's twins.
There it is.
Is it twins? I think it's
No,
twins.
that can't be it.
No, I think it's twins.
I think you're thinking of Alien versus Predator.
No, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger gets pregnant in twins, but that doesn't matter. What's funny is that I saw your cursor on the run sheet. I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like he's read the intro this week.
Oh, not at all. I didn't even think of it. I figured it'd just be the normal one and unfortunately, John couldn't make it this evening.
Unfortunately, John couldn't make it this evening.
We miss you. Pour some out for the big homie.
Drive safely. All right, so the UFC visited St. Petersburg for great MMA action. At Combat Sports Talk, we live by rule number 1, and that is never bet against the Russian. But UFC veteran Alistair Overeem looked to disprove the heuristic. You look at me using these SAT words. By facing MMA journeyman Aleksei Oleinik in the main event. Yet Islam Makhachev, who put on a show, and Roxanne Modafferi, the Happy Warrior, challenged Antonina Shevchenko, the sister of the women's 125-pound champion, Valentina Shevchenko, in a match that if she won, the Happy Warrior might take another step towards a title shot. So let's look at all the results in this segment we like to call the official decision.
The official decision.
It was UFC St. Petersburg, Overeem versus Oleinik, Saturday, April 20th in the Ublimany Sports Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. There were
where was that again?
Ublimany. Ublimany.
Sports players.
I tried to listen to it whenever Bruce Buffer said it on the thing, and I thought I had it, but I guess I didn't.
You might have. It was just more fun to make fun of you.
Okay. I'm very self-conscious. I was very vulnerable there.
Oh, thanks for daring greatly.
Thank you. All right, so we have 5 fights on the card. The first fight of the night, Krzysztof Jotko defeated Alen Amedovski via unanimous decision. Great thing about this fight is Krzysztof Jotko, he dominated this fight on the feet and on the ground. Basically, Amedovski was the superior striker, had a lot more power, but he could never get anything off because as soon as he started to throw a punch, he was getting taken down and he was ground and pound. So, Krzysztof Jotko,
great game planning,
had a great game plan. In the next fight, my girl, Roxanne, Happy Warrior. The Happy Warrior, Modafferi, defeated Antonina Shevchenko via split decision. This fight, once again, like Antonina Shevchenko, superior striker, more crisp, her movement was just great. You like to talk about staying off the center line, you and George.
Yep.
This Antonina Shevchenko did everything right. The only thing is, how do you punch someone who's got a cast iron jaw and just runs forward, pushing you up against the wall, and just uses superior grappling to get you on the ground and then starts grounding and pounding you? And that's what Roxanne Modafferi did.
It's tough in a fight like this to end with a split decision, because for a fighter like Antonina, who's done all she could to win, hearing that split decision almost makes you wonder, like, did I really lose this fight?
Well, the crowd booed whenever the result was announced. But the thing is that in so much as Roxanne took a ton of strikes coming in, she was relentless with her takedowns. And when she got on top, she was perfect for her takedowns. She was like 5 for 5, and she had takedowns in every single round. She was able to occupy a lot of time on top. And even when she was swept, she regain position. So, it was a close fight. I know that it's not vogue to say that, as evidenced by a split decision. But I'm super happy for her because, last week I was like, I really want to root for Roxanne. She's one of my favorite female fighters, but I don't know if she can win this fight. So
I believe your exact words were, but she's going to lose.
I don't think that was my exact words. I think my exact words was,
run the tape back.
I wish I could. I wish I could get to that part of the tape. Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll tack it on at the end so we can hear exactly what I said.
Please don't.
But as I recall, I think I said, the hard part about it is that we did the show 3 times, so there's no telling what I said.
That's fair.
There's no telling what I said the first or second time.
No, you said it the first time. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember what I said, so we'll have to go back and see what actually made the official,
final cut here.
The final cut. But, I didn't have faith, and so I posted, just in time for Easter, that I was the Simon Peter of Roxanne Modafferi fans. So for all of you out there, I was in denial. I was like, there's no way. No way she's going to win. I denied her at least 3 times.
Like, that's legit biblical.
All right. Man. So there you go. Sergey Pavlovich defeated Marcelo. I don't know. Probably Marcelo.
It's limoncello.
Marcelo Golm via knockout in round 1. This was a heavyweight fight. 84 inches is the longest reach in the UFC, as far as I know. And so the only 2 people that I know only 2 active fighters that I know that have an 84-inch reach is Sergey Pavlovich and John Bones Jones.
Jones does.
Jones, really? Yeah. Jones has an 84-inch. And so at light heavyweight, that's why he gives Daniel Cormier so much trouble, because dude has just, Reed Richards arms.
I don't get the reference, but okay. Stretch Armstrong?
Close.
Is it Mr. Stretch from The Incredible Four or Fantastic Four?
Wow. Close enough. Mr. Fantastic.
For real? Like, why is it his name Stretch? Everybody else has what they do. There's the Flame Dude. Human
Torch.
Yeah. So why is Mr. Fantastic and not Stretchy Dude?
That's a fair question. Even though the guy that's made out of rocks is called the Thing.
Okay.
Well, but the other lady is is the Invisible Woman, and guess what she does?
She flies.
Yes, exactly.
All of this is stupid.
So Sergey Pavlovich just dropped a train on Marcelo Golm. This fight didn't last very long, and I mean it was just elite striking. He's putting it right where he needed to be, and I mean it was not. It was a butt kicking, to be honest, without any kicking, because it was like heavyweights.
There it is.
Islam in the co-main event, Islam Makhachev defeated Arman Sarukin.
Arman Hammer.
Yeah, I got you. Via unanimous decision. I just want to say this fight was an amazing fight. It was back and forth. The wrestling was elite. If you can go back to the listeners out there, if you did not see this fight, go watch the highlights. The speed at which they changed positions from a wrestling perspective was something out of like it's just like out of the Matrix. I mean, it was amazing how you have 2 high-level grapplers who know what the other one's trying to do, and they're neutralizing each one of each other's attacks. It's
Gets you to a little flow wrestling.
A marvel to watch. Flow wrestling to level 10. And
nice.
Then in the main event, the Demolition Man, Alistair Overeem, defeated Aleksei Oleinik, the boa constrictor, via TKO in round 1. I got to do this because, I stand by my rules. Never bet against the Russian, so I'm going to do a little bit of this. I'm going to eat a little crow. Because,
Same.
Yeah, but, look, we don't talk about it when you get things wrong, right?
Well, I broke my own rule. Well, one of your rules, which was the short notice fight almost never wins.
This is true. This is true. So, I don't know if the short notice fight trumps the never bet against the Russians.
I don't know if we use that anymore. I think it overshadows.
Oh, yes. Yes, I see. Yes, the short notice fight corollary is it takes precedent over
there we go.
The rule number 1. So rule 0, short notice fights. Oh, no, I guess you can't have rule number 0 because the other rule that we also follow is if you miss weight, you will win.
Yeah. Does
Always
the short notice fighter almost always miss weight too?
No,
we got to get our stats guy.
We got to get our stats right. Like, come on, we got to do better.
We can't do this real time.
Yeah. Anyway, Alistair Overeem defeated Aleksei Oleinik. This fight, Oleinik came out throwing these just looping like this looked less like an organized professional fight and more like a drunk guy in a bar throwing bombs. Like he's throwing like straight arm overhand rights. But he clips Overeem in the very beginning of the round. We're like, oh my gosh, he actually landed that. And so he goes in and he's chasing Overeem around the ring just with these old man drunken boxing strikes. And you keep thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to land one. He's going to drop Overeem, even though Oleinik, you are a grappler and submission guy. So throwing punches is probably a bad idea.
Especially when Overeem was training to fight another striker.
Yes, because so he was originally supposed to fight Alexander Volkov, who is a 6 foot, 6 kickboxer. So he was preparing to fight a striker. Instead, he was getting a submission artist, and Overeem's got a legitimate takedown defense, but he's not a jiu-jitsu specialist whatsoever. So once you get him down, you've got a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yes. So Oleinik tried to I guess gas Overeem out, and instead Overeem just kind of covered up, took the punches, and then started reaching for the Muay Thai clinch. And so it's called the plum clinch, but we'll also call it the Muay Thai clinch. And we talked about this back when Johnny Walker knocked out Khalil Roundtree, about how effective that is. And if you get in that clinch, if someone gets you in that clinch and they've got their hand behind your head, remember the body part that's called?
The crown.
No, the external occipital protuberance.
The crown.
Yeah, that big lump on the back of your head. If they've got a handful of that and they're pulling your head down, that is like danger zone, right? And unfortunately, Aleksei Oleinik did not try to get out of that, and so Overeem, who has been known to knock a couple of folks out with just knees, dude is a K1 champion. He just started landing these things, and he caught Oleinik twice in the head with some knees, and the fight was over.
Yeah.
So, lesson to be learned: if someone has the back of your head and they're pushing you down, don't worry about landing punches. Worry about getting out of that.
Ooh. Other lesson.
What's that?
Always pick the fighter who trains in Denver.
Oh my gosh. He didn't train at Factory X.
He didn't, but he trained in Denver. Count it.
All right. Well, there you go. Let's close the book on this one, put it on the shelf, because this one is history. Let's go to our next segment where we look at the headlines that are making waves in Finding the Angles.
Finding the Angles.
This is Finding the Angles. This is where we look at the headlines that people are talking about in the MMA world. First one I want to go at is Kamaru Usman to Colby Covington saying, now you have to beg me for a title fight. When Kamaru Usman defeated Tyron Woodley for the title. It was basically decided at that point that his next fight was going to be a unification. It wasn't really a unification bout because they've already stripped Colby Covington of the title. But his next fight was going to be Colby Covington, which everybody really wanted to see. And then you had two amazing performances by two other welterweights that now have brought it into question. And though actually almost three. So the first one being Anthony Pettis knocking out Wonderboy, which was unexpected. You had Jorge Masvidal taking out Darren Till. And what, Eve Edwards as well. That 3-piece combo and a Coke.
Count it.
And then you've also got Ben Askren who's lurking. I mean, there's nothing that Kamaru Usman would want better than to fight Ben Askren and stop Tyron Woodley and Ben Askren one after the other.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
So when you're looking at Colby Covington, you know, Usman actually has other options, and he doesn't necessarily have to fight Colby Covington. And I think that he's really turning the screws on Colby Covington by saying, you know what, I want to see you beg for this fight or else I'm going to give it to someone else. I think it's kind of, you know, it's kind of a jerk move, but at the same time, hold on, let me finish. But at the same time, I support it because you do jerk moves to jerks.
That's fair. Also, I like that you said I support it. The thing that gets me about this is, so the whole division's got its shake up with Pettis' win, but Pettis is new to the division. Does he already get a title shot?
Wonderboy's pretty legit competition.
Yeah, but do you get a title shot for that win? It wasn't a decisive victory. It was a
knockout. Knockout is a decisive victory.
I guess he didn't dismantle Wonderboy. In fact, he got worked by Wonderboy for a round and change.
It's true.
So I don't know that you get a title shot after that performance.
All right, what about Masvidal?
Masvidal, I think, has a legitimate claim. He's been putting work in. And taking out Darren Till does show that he's got a skill set to be a contender. So I think Masvidal probably has a legitimate claim. But Askren, come on. That's too early.
He's got a win over Robbie Lawler.
Who doesn't at this stage?
I'm just saying. He's got a win over Robbie Lawler. You know, that was his first fight. And Robbie Lawler was ranked in that top 5, I think, at the time. So, you know, you
got to run that one back. Disputable.
Oh, yeah. Well, I personally believe you got to run it back just because it was all kinds of confusion going on there. But, you know, I think that Ben Askren's already been booked for another fight, right? Isn't he fighting RDA?
That sounds about right. We'll get back to you on that in 5.
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now.
I figured you were.
Oh, no. You know who Ben Askren's fighting next? Jorge Masvidal. That's who he's fighting.
Seriously?
Yep.
Why did my voice do that? But yeah.
Seriously?
Seriously?
Yeah. So he's fighting Jorge Masvidal next. So the winner of that fight has as legitimate a claim to the title shot as Colby Covington. Probably even better because Colby hasn't fought in forever and a day.
Yeah, Colby, I feel like his best move is honestly a tune-up fight. Just prove that you still got it. You'll actually add to your ticket sales because you'll get to talk more trash leading up to your title fight. Colby really needs a tune-up and to help restore his reputation because now he's become that Conor of you're all talking and no fight.
Yeah, I think that his best fight right now is probably Anthony Pettis.
Oh, I like that. I like that matchup a lot.
Yeah, I would support Anthony Pettis versus Colby Covington, you know, and that way he's got at least a legitimate claim because let's face it, Colby Covington is a bad matchup for Anthony Pettis, so that gives him the ability to take down a newcomer that's trying to make a claim for the title, and you know, I think that Wonderboy is gonna take a step back from there. So your best bet is Anthony Pettis and then Wonder Boy should take out Santiago Ponzinibbio, and you've got just a well-made ladder at that point.
Only because the rankings don't matter. Because for Colby to fight, let's say, an unranked Pettis, I don't know where he landed. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't theoretically help his standings in the rankings, but we all know the rankings don't mean anything at all in the UFC.
This is correct. Yeah, so I don't know where he's ranked in the welterweight division. So I'm trying to look and see if the UFC's updated that, but actually they got him ranked at number 8.
Yeah, so Colby fighting him isn't technically great, but why not?
Why not? I mean, it's a big name.
It's going to get you money, and that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. Let's go on to the next one. So, Khabib reveals his one condition for a lightweight title rematch to Conor McGregor. So what we know is that it's planned right now that Khabib Nurmagomedov is going to fight Dustin Poirier sometime in September, October to unify the lightweight title, which is going to be a great fight, by the way. But Conor is still looking for that fight. And so what Khabib is saying is like, I'm not giving you a rematch for this title until you get a W, because you hadn't had a W in so long.
This is fair and the ultimate troll / call out / big facts. Like, man, you couldn't have hit him with a better retort.
Yeah, well, I wish that my Russian accent was as good as yours, but can you? Are you looking at the run sheet?
Yeah, but I kind of want to hear your accent now that you said this.
Yeah. I would rather you do it.
Nope. 1, 2, 3, not it.
You go to get some W, and we can talk about rematch. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
I tried.
Duh.
Yeah. See, you know what? I didn't try. I dared greatly.
Hey, I honor your sacrifice.
Thank you so much. I was vulnerable.
So that's the thing. I thought Conor was retired.
Yeah, that retirement lasted. Yeah, it lasted as long as it took for him to realize that the UFC did not care if he was retired.
That'll do it.
But it was interesting that this weekend Conor McGregor did do a charity boxing appearance, and so he was in Dublin. I think he was at his old boxing gym, and he did a couple of rounds with an amateur. Not that he's a professional, but I mean, I guess you are whenever you fight Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the dude was doing work. He was going in on Conor McGregor. So but it's nice whenever he give back to the kids.
Kind of love the kids.
So, really interesting article that came out last week. Which fighting styles generate the most UFC or MMA champions? Now, this is something that if you followed MMA for a while, this question is pretty academic, but it's always great when you see data that supports what you already know to be true. And what the data showed is that the primary fighting styles found in the UFC include wrestling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, kickboxing, boxing, Muay Thai, Taekwondo, and karate. But by and large, the most number of champions had wrestling as their base. It was about 40% of the champions represented wrestling. Another, I think it was like 27% represented Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then the rest of them were all the other disciplines. So if you can't wrestle, grapple. If you can't grapple, then you better use your hands and your feet.
So my problem with this data set is it doesn't account for the number of fighters in each one. So I think that a lot of people that came into the UFC, at least early on and up until fairly recently, came out of a collegiate wrestling background.
Yeah.
And there was no place else to go for them except for the UFC. And so it kind of skews in favor of wrestlers because of the sheer number of wrestlers that are in the sport.
Yeah, but I feel like the same thing can be said about karate people. Like, where do karate people go?
To karate tournaments.
Well, there are still wrestling tournaments. Even after you're out of college. I mean, taekwondo people, once you're out of college, I mean, I can't imagine the taekwondo sport industry is all that big. I mean,
it is.
If you're not a Muay Thai fighter, if you're not a kickboxer, there's really not a large scale professional promotion for you. And then when you get to wrestling, your point is valid because there's not a large scale professional wrestling. Sorry. I gotta
false.
I have to
WWE,
restate that.
man.
I have to restate that. There's not a large scale wrestling promotion that features professional collegiate wrestlers.
Fair. Okay.
Okay. Because there is a large scale professional wrestling organization. You just can't put those two words in that order and not say WWE. So it's a fair point, but I think that, there's something to be said about the fact that it's still a style that allows you to take the fight wherever you want it. You get where you control where the fight happens, then you increase your odds of winning dramatically. So wrestling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, naturally styles that can control where the fight goes. And because of that, they are more frequently the champion.
Okay.
Then I saw this, and it was on MMA Junkie. It was titled "The Rock Solid Airtight Case for Adding a 165-pound division to the UFC, whether Dana White likes it or not."
Boo. No matter, without reading it, just skeptical as I am, I'm just saying boo.
So I have been very vocal about not being in support of a 165-pound weight division, but this was supposed to be the airtight case for it by Ben Folks, who is a legitimate MMA journalist. Like, I'm not gonna talk any crap about his knowledge of the sport and his contribution to covering the sport. Like, much respect. However, when you use words like airtight, rock solid, yeah, you're pushing the buttons here. And if there's
oh yeah, because you hate, what is it, definitive statements?
Oh yeah, like these types of definitive statements make great for headlines, but now I got to come at you, Ben. So the first point that he made is that it's a boost for fighter health and safety. And so basically what it is he's talking about the fact that fighters who try to make 155, it's a real hard cut for them. And so therefore, if you have a 165, they don't have to cut down as much, right? And so he's also saying that then you could bump the welterweight division from 170 to 175, and so therefore now you've got 155, 165, 175, and then 185. Then it's 205. The problem that I have with this argument is that all it does is it puts more fighters in line to try to cut more weight. So with the while he's trying to say what's going to keep fighters from cutting weight, because now there's a weight class that they can hit at 165. That doesn't change the fact that if you're a fighter that can hit 155, then now you can compete at 155 and 165. Now that means that there's a 185 who could probably get 160, but not get down to 155. But now that there's a 165, you got 185-pound guys making that big of a cut. We already saw Anthony Rumble Johnson. Rumble Johnson, he cut all the way from 205 down to 170.
Gosh,
you mean to tell me he couldn't push 5 more pounds? Like, it doesn't change. There's a culture of overcutting in the UFC. By adding another target for fighters to aim at doesn't make it healthier. You've got to change the culture. You've got to set the rules so that people don't cut weight unhealthily. And adding another target only encourages them to make bigger weight cuts. That's all it does.
I want to argue with this, but 100% agree. Like, I think it just allows for more gamesmanship.
Right. There is already a culture of weight cutting. You don't solve the culture of weight cutting by adding another weight class to cut to. Next thing, it says the second point is the abundance of talent in these weight classes is an argument for, not against. And so the idea here is that you've got a bunch of talent at 155, you got a bunch of talent at 170. By creating a 165, then you get to have talent in both of those weight classes. My point here, the point that I have to make here is that it doesn't increase the amount of talent. It only dilutes the amount of talent, because now what you've got is 170-pound fighters who now choose to fight at 165, and so now you've got fewer fighters who are at the elite level in 170 and 155 who can fight at those weights because they're tied up trying to jockey for 165. So you create an even bigger logjam. And really, to be honest, the problem here is that by trying to merge these two weight classes, how are you going to have 155-pound guys fighting against 170-pound guys when we both know they're both cutting from 205 and 185 to get there? So you're going to have the bigger guy from the 170 in the 165 division fighting against smaller guys, and it's going to be rare that you're going to get that bigger guy. That bigger guy's going to have the smaller guy's going to have a shot. Look at what happened with Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway just a few weeks ago. Max Holloway is the 145-pound guy. Dustin Poirier is the 155-pound guy. Both of them fighting at 155. You could see the body difference. You could see the power difference. There's nothing that said that Max Holloway even had a chance against Dustin Poirier once he started throwing bombs. Yeah. He just didn't have the power and the size. So you're telling me that 155-pound moving up to 165 and fighting 170-pound guys, they're going to have the same power as the 170 guys? No. So you create all these kinds of problems at the 165 by adding the 165. What that does is that now it dilutes your talent, it creates log jams, and it favors the heavier guys versus the lighter guys.
Lawyered. Oh, that's a reference from How I Met Your Mother.
Third point. Since when does the UFC think it's a bad thing to have an extra title floating around? So that is the only legitimate
You're like, all right, I'll concede that.
I'll concede that point. Yes, it's another title. That means that now the UFC has another title that they can move around and show and all that kind of stuff. There you go.
Well, there's the problem of, I feel like at 165 it'd be easy to have a champ. Like either the 170 guy or the 155 guy could theoretically win that. And the champ thing is at this point kind of diluted. It's not nearly as cool as it was.
Yeah, when Conor did it, it was the first time ever, so champ was a thing. Then you had Daniel Cormier did it. Now Amanda Nunes has done it. There's been others who've tried to do it. I'm pretty sure John Jones will achieve it.
Cejudo?
You have to win the flyweight title to be the champ at flyweight. You cannot be given the title. I don't acknowledge that title. That is Demetrius Johnson's title at 125 that Henry Cejudo is only holding while Demetrius Johnson looks for one title, one FC title. So he is not a champ. I don't recognize it. Don't even come at me like that. I will mute you.
I'm not even mad at that. I support it.
That's right. So there you go. when I read this article, I was like, I cannot let this stand. Ben Folks, like I said, I respect you as a journalist. I thank you for your coverage of this sport that I love so much, but I do not see how you could even remotely call that a rock solid, airtight case for a 165-pound division. And so we move on.
Whoa! I got ahead of you in the run sheet.
Yeah. So BJ Penn is accused of threatening a farmer with a machete. A police investigation is ongoing. I saw this 2 weeks ago. BJ Penn was hit with a restraining order by his significant other, and it was extended through like October of 2021. Like legit. And then what basically happened? And this was a bit of a one of those those headlines that's kind of a clickbait kind of thing, because they make it sound like BJ Penn just recently got accused of threatening a farmer with a machete, but no, it's actually happened like a year ago. But because they were doing research and doing the public record search for BJ Penn about this restraining order, they came across this other investigation that police are still ongoing. And it was funny because in the article they were talking about, it's a pretty cut and dry case. There's a guy who's a farmer who says BJ Penn showed up with a machete, chopping at the ground, saying to come out of his house because he's going to kill him. Why do you need a year-long investigation to validate that? The police,
no comment.
Yeah, the police were like, Hawaii may be an island, but it's still hard to find folks. So, you just need to just chill while we do our jobs.
So I said whoa because this week while what's today? Last week, Monday, I guess. Yeah. While I was driving towards the west side of Oahu, I saw the BJ Penn UFC gym. Like, I didn't know they did co-branded gyms. But it was the UFC branded BJ Penn gym, and I was like, "Oh, that's crazy! Like, he's still celebrated here." Mm-hmm. Yeah. That might taint that legacy just a bit.
I don't think it will, to be honest. There is such a family, and I'm speaking as though I know Hawaiians, and I've never been to Hawaii, so I don't know, but my perception is that the Hawaiians are such a proud people and a family that even if BJ Penn, acts out, it's kind of a maybe they'll be disappointed, but they're not going to just relinquish him, and he's not going to become an outcast. He is still part of the family. He is still
he's still Kama'aina.
Yeah.
My Hawaiian brethren know what's up.
I don't know if you can be called a haole, but
No, how dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It's like, I don't know if you can be called a haole, but yeah. That was the most Texan pronunciation of Hawaiian I've ever heard.
Look here. BJ Penn, no matter what, you're still Kama'aina.
Please do not hate us, Hawaiian listeners.
Yo, this is all love and respect, 100%.
So yeah, this is not a new case. They made it sound like it was a new case, but it does bring up the question, because BJ Penn is being accused of all this erratic behavior, could this be the onside of CTE? Dude's been in some wars.
I mean, it's the telltale signs.
So what was interesting is, and I have to shout out my homeboy Red Matos here. He's the one that posted this. It was copied by another one of my homeboys, Courtney. And so I'm shouting those guys out. Choku on Twitter. On Twitter. And he came across this article, and somebody responded and said, they just watched the Junior Seau 30 for 30, and we know Junior Seau had suffered from CTE. And what the person who commented said that BJ's erratic behavior looks a lot like what Junior Seau was accused of, suffering from CTE. So, we all hope and pray that this is not the onset of CTE or some impact by CTE from the battles that BJ Penn has been a part of. But it is concerning that he is starting to make headlines for this type of behavior.
Best of luck to that young man. He's got a lot to worry about.
All right, last story from this section. Darren Till arrested in the Canary Islands for allegedly trashing his hotel and then stealing a cab.
Hey, he's out here living like a rock star, and why not? Everyone else gets a pass.
You know what's funny is that had you allowed me to speak next, I was getting ready to say I may be coming over to your side that allowing fighters to do and say whatever they want is proving to be a bad thing. And then you're like, hey, everyone gets it. Everyone does it.
Feels good. Do it, my friend.
This is the kind of behavior that Conor McGregor, behaved in and
normalized.
And now you see Darren Till, who was on the same trajectory as Conor McGregor. Now he's behaving in this just thuggish way that I don't understand why you would even do something like that. Like, you're a professional fighter. There's an expectation that you are a role model, and to go and to get busted to get busted, even though it's still allegedly because he's not been convicted.
You stole a car.
Trashing your hotel and stealing a car. That's wrong.
Is it?
Till and company were kicked out of their hotel for trashing furniture and emptying out fire extinguishers. After failing to gain entry into a second hotel, the Brits hailed a cab to leave. While the driver was loading their luggage into the cab, the group of men allegedly jumped in the car and took off.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. So I don't know, man. I can't condone this type of behavior when you're going, to other places and just acting a damn fool. It's ridiculous.
I hope that the people start to see more of merit-based punishment and not this whole, you're a celebrity, we'll give you a slap on the wrist community service. I think because we failed Conor McGregor and showed him that his money can get him out of anything, too many people have followed in this tracks, and there's been no deterrent. For a place that likes, we as Americans love to tout our whole law and order thing, but it only applies to people we don't like. And in this case, I think that we've set a terrible precedent for celebrities as a whole, but fighters in general, there has to be a code of conduct. I think the UFC needs to start to see that this is systemic at this point. Like, they've created this environment where their fighters are just ill-behaved. And much like the NFL had to do with the Cowboys in the 90s, you got to start putting people in the camps who are like babysitters and saying, look, if you guys want to act like kids, then you guys get curfews. Congratulations.
There you go. All right, that is it for Finding the Angles. Let's go into the fights that are coming up this weekend in the fight card. This is the fight card. This is where we look ahead to this weekend and the fights that are scheduled. We have two major promotions that have cards this weekend. The first is one of our favorites, Bellator. Bellator 220, Macdonald versus Fitch, April 27th, 2019 at the SAP Center in San Jose, California. This is the next round of the welterweight Grand Prix, and because Rory McDonald is the reigning welterweight champion, this fight is for the title, and I love that. I love that they have the champion in the tournament, and so you can win the fight against the champion and go to the next round, the newly crowned champion, and then lose that title in the very next round. I love that about Bellator. Good on you.
Good on you, mate.
We've got 4 fights on the card. This is a stacked card. You got Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis versus Liam McGeary.
Like it.
Ben Smooth Henderson versus Adam Piccolotti. Adam Piccolotti is a great wrestler and knockout artist. You got female champion Ilima McFarlane, she's from Hawaii, versus Veda
Aloha.
Artiga. And then in the main event, Rory McDonald versus John Fitch. So we're going to make a flash fight pick for Rory McDonald versus John Fitch.
I'm going to be cryptic on this one and see if you can figure it out. Never going to give you up. Never going to let you down.
Okay. That is very cryptic.
Oh, McDonald, man. Come on.
No, you rickrolled us. That's Rick Astley.
Ah. Boo! What have I done?
Dude. Like, I don't even know. Like, I can't confiscate a card. Like, I don't even know, like, what that is. You just hit us with the rickroll. Like, that's awesome. I mean, your troll game is on point.
You know, I don't even words.
So you were trying to do Michael McDonald, right? Like
I was.
Like,
what is the Michael McDonald song now?
Michael McDonald. You could do something like, take this message to my brother. You can find him everywhere. Taking it to the streets, Doobie Brothers.
That's solid.
You could do What a Fool Believes.
Nope.
He came from somewhere back in a long ago. Sentimental fool trying hard not to.
Forgetting I'm not in love anymore.
There you go.
There we go. That's what I was meaning.
Yeah, so, not Rick Astley.
There you go. Rory McDonald for the win.
Yeah, I got Rory McDonald. Yeah, John Fitch is a great wrestler, but I think Rory McDonald is head and shoulders a mixed martial artist, and I think he'll move through the next round, probably unanimous decision. All right, and then we have the fight that was supposed to be on ESPN that got downgraded to ESPN Plus. So for all of us who don't have cable but do have ESPN Plus, we get to watch this card. It's UFC on ESPN Plus, Jacare versus Hermansson, April 27th, 2019 at the BB&T Center in Sunrise, Florida. They're billing it as UFC Sunrise, but it's taking place in the evening. Like, that should be a morning fight.
Dude, dad jokes on 100 right now.
See, you're the troll. I'm the dad joke guy. All right, we got 5 fights on the card. John Lineker versus Corey Sandhagen. That's going to be a lightning fast fight. Ian Kutibala versus Glover Teixeira. Oh, by the way, these fights are I'm just super excited about these fights. Glover Teixeira's back in action. You got Alex Oliveira versus Platinum Mike Perry.
Your man.
Alex Oliveira, you're right. Greg Hardy versus Dmitry Smolikov. I hope his nickname is the Cocktail.
Oh, that's solid. You think Greg Hardy cheats?
Greg Hardy better be on his best behavior, man. But I think it's going to be a lightning fast knockout. I mean, we're going to do flash fight picks on some of these, and then Jacare Souza versus Jack Hermansson for the main event of the evening. Let's do this. Let's flash fight pick Alex Oliveira versus Platinum Mike Perry.
All right, so I'm going to change this, of course, before the fight. Okay. But my immediate one is Mike Perry right now.
All right. I refuse to pick Mike Perry. I would pick Mike Perry's girlfriend.
So that's the thing, is fight picking is about who will win, not who you want to win.
Yeah, I don't pick that way. That's why I'm always wrong. So I would rather pick Mike Perry's girlfriend than Mike Perry.
He's married now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, he married the.
Oh, don't do it. I thought you were gonna.
I was gonna do it. Like I've been like you keep interrupting me, but I was setting up for it, and
don't
then
do it.
I'm not doing it. I'm better than that. You're right.
Oh, that was rough. Oh!
Alex Oliveira. I'm picking Alex Oliveira. Greg Hardy versus Dmitry Smolikov. Cocktail.
I got to go Smolikov on this, only because of the head game piece of this. Gray Hardy's coming into this with that notion of he's got a marred record, and what would have been a win for him is now a loss. So he's going to have to play it safe and show that he can fight within the rule set. I think that's going to add some delay to his timing and throw off his game.
I predict that this fight doesn't go 3 minutes. Greg Hardy is going to destroy Smolikov. And guess what? Look, let me go and see. Like, very rarely do I go against rule number 1.
No, but they're not in Florida. What am I doing?
Okay, so he is a Russian mixed martial arts fighter. His nickname is the Lifeguard. What? His nickname is the Lifeguard. No.
It could be worse. It could be the Bodyguard.
Your last name is Smolikov or whatever. Dude, you got to be the Cocktail. Yeah, Greg Hardy's going to blow this guy up. It ain't even going to be funny.
By that you mean he will hurt him.
He will knock out Dmitry, the
Dear
Lifeguard.
FBI.
He will win that fight in dramatic knockout fashion. Last fight, Jacare Souza versus Jack Hermansson. Who you got?
Ooh, this is a tough one for me because I just watched the Jacare versus Weidman fight again, and Jacare is tough. He sticks in there and he finds a way to win, but dude's getting old. So I'm gonna go with Jack on this.
All right. I got Jacare. The thing is that even though he was getting whooped in that Weidman fight,
mm-hmm.
Jacare is still so dangerous. And if you get that fight on the ground, you don't want to be down there with the alligator,
right?
So, or is it crocodile? I don't know.
Both.
Yes, the reptilian.
They're in Florida.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the gator.
All right, there you go. We're both on Jacare Souza. All right. Follow us on social media. On Instagram, I am at Combat Sports Talk.
And I am at Push Pull Pray.
All right, John is at Keys to Victory, both on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm at CST Ryan on Twitter. You can visit our website at www.combatsportstalk.com. You can get some of our merchandise, and you can listen to all of our archives, and you can also find us on any of your favorite podcast platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, you name it.
SoundCloud, Stitcher.
Yeah, yes, all of them. We also do live events, with the double champ of our own, and that's George G. Money Stallworth. Missed UFC 236, but we'll be back for UFC 237, so look for that when that comes. You got anything to say besides goodbye to the fans?
Why goodbye?
Because we're heading out.
So long. See you soon.
Our theme music is composed by Scott McCurry at scottdeancountry.com. KC Onyebuchi produced our lead-ins. I want to thank you for joining us for another edition of Combat Sports Talk. For KC Onyebuchi, I'm Ryan Smith, reminding you to keep your hands up, your chin tucked, and throw bombs.